Hey guys, my name is Janet and I am the owner of Crafty Miss Janet. If you are new here, welcome to my channel and thank you for watching. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever we do upload. So for today's video, we are going to be making a 24-ounce peekaboo blood drip tumbler. To make the hole, I use this hot tool from Amazon and it comes with different sizes, and I just use the largest one and I press down when it gets really hot all the way down through the first layer, but do not go through the second one. And then once you get the hole, you just want to take off the little excess plastic around the rim of the hole. So to fill it up, we're going to be using the same fake blood I did for my last video. If you watched it, this is the remainder of it. I didn't want to throw it away, so I decided to also make this tumbler, and we're just doing the same thing here, filling it up with a syringe. Now you filled it up, you want to prep it for UV resin, because we are going to be sealing this with UV resin. So just clean the excess liquid if there's any, and kind of just if there's any pokey bits of the plastic from when we made the hole, just clean that off. I didn't get it on camera, but I used one of those bumper stoppers for furniture. And I just pushed it into the little hole, and it fits perfectly for the size bit of the heat tool. And then just put a little bit of UV resin and kind of let it sit there so it can make its own way to cover it, to cover the whole bottom. And if it doesn't, just kind of tilt your cup just to get it moving, and then use a torch or a lighter to get rid of any bubbles. Once that's done, you want to cure this for 1 to 3 minutes depending on the UV resin you're using, or you could just set this outside in direct sunlight. So this step is completely optional because we are going to be doing a peekaboo, meaning we're going to spray paint the whole cup and we won't be able to see the bottom. But I still wanted to do this because if you're drinking from the cup, you can still see the inside and the bottom. So I added glitter to my UV resin, and then I just poured it on top, or the bottom part where we sealed it, and I just let it sit for a little bit, let it move on its own, and then I hit it with my little heat torch to pop the bubbles, and I cured it for 1 to 2 minutes or 3 minutes depending on the UV resin you're using and your UV lamp. Or you could also let this sit in your sun, in the direct sunlight outside. And that is the blood drip. I love the flow of it. It's very realistic. I don't know if you guys ever seen those Halloween ghost masks where I think you press a button and it drips. It kind of reminds me of that. So I really love it. For the fun part, I cut this out with my Cricut, and I am using removable vinyl. You can also use stencil vinyl, but I do not like stencil vinyl. I have tried it so many times and I do not like it. I feel like it's too, not flimsy, it's just very plasticky. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I don't like it. So I just use removable vinyl. You can also use permanent vinyl, but I would avoid using it because it can damage the cup. And also when you're taking this off to reveal the peekaboo, you can lift up the paint. So I would just prefer to use, or recommend you using, is removable vinyl. Get this in a straight line. I'm just using the grid on my transfer tape, and you want to squeegee this on very well to avoid the removable vinyl from pulling up, because we are going to spray paint over this. So just to avoid any paint getting underneath the lettering. For the spray paint, we are using Rust-Oleum's 2x1. This is a paint and primer, and we're spray painting this in the color white. To spray paint this, you want to do light layers and you want to avoid dripping, so do not do a heavy coat and just spin your cup as you're spray painting this all around. Spray paint this until you get your desired coverage. Once that is dry, I let my cup sit for about 30 minutes. It was pretty hot outside, so it dried a little faster than that, but I just wanted to add the extra time. Now we're going to be removing the letters. I am using a needle tool pick. This is from Tech Wrap, and I love this because it makes it so easy to remove small intricate cuts or when you're doing peekaboos. Avoid scratching the paint and try to avoid scratching the tumbler as much as you can. If you just pull an edge, you can like lift this up with your fingers or fingernails, and it just makes it easier. So that way you're not using the entire tool and you don't scratch or hurt yourself. We're gonna get ready for our first layer of epoxy, and just make sure there is no debris or dust on your cup. And look how pretty that is from the inside. Now for the first epoxy layer, we are doing 20 mLs, 10 of part A and 10 of part B. And I mixed this off camera, and I did add an epoxy additive, which gives it a very nice shimmer and sparkly finish to it. So just spread that all over your cup. Make sure you get the bottom really well, and just make sure your coat is even. When working with epoxy or any UV resin or anything harsh such as spray paint, make sure to always wear proper PPE and always do this in a well ventilated area. When you're done applying the layer of epoxy, take a small torch to pop any air bubbles all around the cup. So now we're going to move on to the decal. Again, we did do an offset of this scream lettering, and I originally cut this with white permanent vinyl, but it does blend in with the cup, so I used this red holographic vinyl instead. You are applying the offset image of the decal. You want to line it up as close to the outer rim of the peekaboo as you can. Just be patient with this step. Since we did do an offset, it kind of made the letters like all one piece rather than all being individual, so it makes it a little bit harder to get a perfect lineup. But once you got it down, just flatten it and make sure you squeegee it out really well. Holographic vinyl sometimes tends to lift up around the edges, so just make sure you squeegee this really well. For the logo, I still wanted to add something kind of to like replace it. So I added this sticker that I made with printable vinyl sheets, and I just put like a clear holographic sheet on top. And I just tried to place it as close to like where the logo would have been. And I just squeegeed it out with my fingers to flatten it out. Just make sure that when you are applying your decal and your sticker, it is to a very flat surface. So if your cup needs to be sanded down, make sure you do sand it before applying any sticker or decal, because you will see the bumps underneath it. I bought this image off of Etsy and I just sized it. I wish I would have cut this out a little bit bigger because I feel like it was maybe too small for the size of this cup. But I just went with it and I made it work, and I still love the end result. So I am a very impatient person, and I used the wrong transfer tape. I used a strong grip one, and I wouldn't recommend it for a design like this because it did leave a sticky residue. So now we're getting ready for the last layer of epoxy, and I have 20 mLs mixed. I have 10 of part A and 10 of part B. And again, I added the epoxy additive just to give it a little bit of sparkle. We love everything that sparkles here at KMJ. But yeah, once you get an even coat all over the cup, you just want to let that cure and spin for 6 to 8 hours, depending on the temperature of your work area and the epoxy you are using. I also added another sticker at the bottom just because we did spray paint over the red glitter that we applied to it, and I didn't want to leave it just white and plain, so I just added another sticker. So this is where the sad part comes. I recorded making this lid, but when I was editing, I noticed that the footage was not there. I know I recorded it, but I don't know what happened to it. I know it sounds silly, but I looked and I don't know where it went. So I ended up doing a UV resin lid. I scuffed up the entire lid and then I wiped it down with alcohol, and I mixed UV resin with a little bit of mica powder and epoxy additive. But I added way too much mica powder and it turned my lid kind of like a purpley holographic opal color. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily like how it turned out. I added way too much and I couldn't fix it anymore. So I just left it, and then I added these cute ghost face clays at the top, and then I added another layer of UV resin and I let that cure under the lamp for 2 to 3 minutes. And for the outer rim of the lid, I scuffed that up too, wiped it with alcohol, and then I added white rhinestones. And then I did like this method where you add 2 mm's to the little holes as fillers. We're going to be applying 5 mm around where the logo would have been, where we did add the sticker. And as you can tell, I did speed up the process just to make this video a little bit shorter. All of that is done. We're gonna be cleaning the outer, not the outer, but like the inner rim of the cup, just in case any epoxy or spray paint got in there. We're gonna take a sharp craft knife or an X-Acto knife, and we're just gonna scrape off any paint or excess epoxy. When you're doing this, please make sure you're very careful so you could avoid scuffing up the cup or hurting yourself. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. These are super fun to make. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever we do upload. Thank you guys.